Welcome back to Blog Access 101. I'm your host, Young Abachi. This is episode 135. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify by searching Blog Access 101, BLOGACCESSS 101. I'm here today with my co-host, Rod. What up, Rod?
Yo, yo.
Not much, man. Jump right into it. MLB Free Agency has been crazy thus far. I thought my man Aaron Judge was coming to the NL. With the Giants. You know, they had the Steph Curry set up. You know, I guess that's one of his favorite players or something. He's a big fan of Steph Curry, but then again, who isn't? But you know, I guess he was testing to see how loyal the Yankees were to him, and they finally agreed to matches 9-year, $360 million contract. So he's back with the Yankees. So that's any AL fans, that's a bummer for them, but it's good for all NL fans. That's like, okay, he's not coming good. But I know that the Giants are probably heartbroken from that. They thought they had him. And he just, he did like some of these cosplayers, he decommitted. So what
Mhm.
was your thoughts on that?
Aaron Judge, it's a good job for him for securing the bag because last year the Yankees was like Aaron Judge and a bunch of solid names who didn't do much. And if he went to San Fran, he'd have been Aaron Judge and a bunch of less than solid names who probably won't do much. So either way, he's not in a World Series situation. But got the bag, generational wealth secured. Good for him.
Uh, yeah, but the Giants didn't have a terrible roster. You made it sound like they was the Texas Rangers or something.
Oh, I'm trying to think. Can I name a worthwhile Giants player offhand? Did they have Brandon Belt? No, I think they traded Brandon Belt away, I think.
Brandon Crawford is decent. Jock Peterson, that's decent.
Jock Peterson's washed. He's washed.
My goodness, this guy is crazy. I mean, they got some players over there. They ain't like they some just garbage.
They weren't a playoff team, so
That is true. That is true. Hey man, but sometimes you got to build the culture over there, man. You just got to get a few big names. Like we weren't a playoff team when Bryce Harper came to us, but we just gotta sometimes you gotta start somewhere.
yeah.
Those pieces. But it's yeah, it would have been nice, a little different. Obviously, you wouldn't have like a Garrett Cole as your pitcher. But even though Garrett Cole was a little off this year.
A little
Uh,
shaky. Yep.
but yeah, you're right. The Yankees still will have a better lineup, like either with the shakiness. But it would have been a nice little change of scenery for him. But I'm glad the Yankees that. Well, I'm not glad because I hate the Yankees, but happy
Mhm.
for Aaron Judge though to get a deal that he rightfully deserved.
Stay,
Uh,
stay in, as a Phillies fan, stay in the AL. Figure out a way to like beat Houston, and then see us in the World Series when we go back. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they were on the fence about. A guy that just hit 62 home runs this year. It's just crazy. Like, what can you possibly be like? What negatives do you think of to be hesitant to give him this big contract? Like, he just hit 62 home runs. Like what's up?
didn't didn't Juan Soto get half a billion though? I'm surprised he didn't go higher.
Yeah, I think he probably I feel like when I look at Jared, I mean, obviously I know him personally. He just like a team guy. Like, I mean, obviously, he gonna need his bread, but he's not gonna go try to break the bank. So they may be able to sign some other marquee guys. I guess bring the Yankees up. Um,
Fresh off 62 home runs, I'm the most valuable player in the league. Cash me out.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that's true. You can't argue with that. Um, but yeah, then Jacob DeGrom left the Mets and went to Texas Rangers, which was a pretty interesting one to me. You went from a team that was um, obviously a playoff team, and some might say a championship contender, to go play for Texas Rangers. Interesting. Um,
Texas. This is weird too. Texas like always has interesting players on the roster, and then
the
just
only
doesn't.
My fault. Yeah, the only thing I can even think of why he went there for that 5-year, 185 million is because Texas don't have taxes. That's the only feasible reason I can think of why he went to the Texas Rangers.
Yeah,
Obviously, because I looked at that. I don't know if they put something about with Kyrie or the taxes he paid in New York, like get 37 million, like I think like 17 to 20 million is taken out of that in taxes. I'm like, oh, I would never live in New York.
Yeah, athlete culture is shifting because they do be making moves for the money now with no shame. And I saw the Kyrie John too, where like his 37 million contract dropped down to like I want to say 15 million. So he pays 22 million taxes. Like, yo, leave.
That's crazy. And then you want to go to LA next, I get it. It's the big name places, but I'm not nah.
Yeah, leave Brooklyn. Like, go somewhere where no income tax or none of them taxes. Like, I'm out of here. Y'all lucky Delaware don't got a team.
Oh my God, facts. But I don't live in Delaware. It's just so boring out there. It's like, but then again, I'm like, no taxes, offsets all that.
Mhm.
But yeah, just what was the Rangers? They didn't even get 70 wins this year, but 68, 94. Honestly, I don't know what Jacob DeGrom saw in them, but
They they lost a lot. They lost a lot because they didn't have pitching. So maybe he thinks he's the solution. Maybe it was the income taxes. I don't know, but we'll
uh,
see.
speaking from a fantasy perspective, that he was on my team, he's definitely not the answer. What do you go 5-4 this year as a record, and then what 3 ERA.
Oh yeah, coming off the injury, so he'll be fresh.
Yeah, hopefully, because I'm probably draft him again, unfortunately. But let's jump to this shortstop fiasco in the Major League free agency. Obviously we got Trey Turner, which was a big move for us. We'll work kind of weak at shortstop with Stott, but
I like
major upgrade.
I like Bryson Stott, but yeah, he's not better than Trey
Yeah,
Turner. So
but he brings add another person. You can put him in front of Bryce Harper and to get more RBIs. Now we got another hitter to bolster our roster. We had the hitters, but just adding him. I could say we had a hitter with Schwarber and Schwarber. I might say his last name wrong, and Bryce Harper, obviously, and Real Muto. But Boone showed up in the playoffs for the most part. He got hot. Who else was it? Somebody else? I'm trying to forget the other boy that looked like Jason Worth. I can't remember his name. Damn.
yeah, I'm trying to think. That wasn't Stott. And it wasn't Bohm. It was. Nope, it's not gonna come to me. But he has a lot of hair.
Yeah, it's like I can't remember his name. Uh, Castellanos, he was all right. He was all hit or miss though in the playoffs. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember his name, bro. But anyway, so that was definitely a good picture. The shortstop we end up getting over there, stealing from the Dodgers. I always love stealing Dodgers play. I wish we would have went after Kershaw too. He took a 1 year, $20 million deal. I feel we might have did that because we're playing it with that Walker guy from the Mets, 18 million a year, 4 years, 17 million. Might as well put 2 more extra million, maybe. Go get Kershaw, see what he can do for us. But Trey Turner was 11 year, $300 million contract. The AAV was what, like 27 million or something like that. Uh,
Yeah, the Phillies are in a good spot. They got a lot of folks locked up for a while. So
yeah, so we got to make that. We definitely got to make that. Oh, it was Brandon Marsh. There we go. I couldn't
yep.
remember. But yeah. So you know what? So what? Yeah, what 101 runs this year, 194 hits. The crazy thing, he's still out of bases. What he had about 27 stolen bases. We definitely need that over here in Philly. So once he gets on base, he's dangerous. The pitcher got to keep an eye on him. 21 home runs, which is pretty good. And then even better, his batting average with all these RBIs, he still got a damn near 300 batting average, but you had 298. So that's amazing. Uh,
Yeah,
I know you saw the Padres. I feel like they just tried to match what we did, and
that's
they
the one I was.
uh
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for us to talk about because I feel like the Padres is going to be like if the Phillies can maintain like this dominance and like go back to the World Series or like just make a splash in the playoffs like on a yearly basis, the Padres are going to be like our rival because like they definitely did that Xander move to kind of try to counter us.
yeah,
Uh, they built the same type of team as we did like last year, but we just beat them. So
yeah. And then they went and got Xander Bogarts. What he had about 84 runs, 171 hits. I think he had about 8 stolen bases, then 15 home runs, 63 RBIs, which is decent. Obviously those aren't Trey Turner numbers. And they paid him they put him on 11-year deal as well, which I found pretty ironic that you do the same years, but $20 million cheaper. Obviously his stats. But then you got what's the other guy that's still out there? Carlos Correa, which I think is the person that gets the most money out of all of them. What he had about 70 runs, 64 RBIs, from that was on the Twins.
Yeah.
So I think he gets the most money out of all of them. I really think he's one of the best shortstops in the game, in my opinion.
He
Um,
got he got that Houston taint on him though.
yeah, but
And Minnesota trash too. So like, I don't know.
yeah, but I think if I'm the Dodger, I think I go after him and see what I can get. He had 22 home runs this year, which is good numbers.
He
I
probably
mean,
will.
yeah, he didn't have as much as well, it's still relatively the same numbers as Trey Turner. Trey Turner had 21, he had 22. Trey Turner was 298 batting average. He was 291. So it was still relatively not. I mean, Trey Turner got him on the RBIs 164 is a crazy work gap.
Mm-hmm.
But nonetheless, I still think that and then Correa is the youngest out of all those just three-headed shortstops. Then you got Dansby Swanson, but obviously he's the outside looking in, the fourth main shortstop. Unfortunately, he just got on a free agent at the wrong time. He probably just got to wait, sit back. His agents probably had to sit back until these other three get their deals. Well, not other three, until Correa gets his deal. Then I think the market probably open up for him. And then the Mets made a nice little move. They lost DeGrom, but went and got Justin Verlander for what, 2 year, $86 million. People was like the Astros were crazy for letting him go. I think Astros have like one of the best pipelines for bullpens in Major League Baseball. They always find that diamond in the rough pitcher, that where they could just, they lose one guy and just place another person in there, and it's like they never missed anything. So I don't think that was a big loss for the Astros, in my opinion. But what you think about that?
I mean, Verlander's 40, so like
Yeah,
he was on my team last year. He was the star of my fantasy team last year. But at the end of the day, you just signed a 40-year-old to 2 years. Like,
in $43 million. That's crazy. Like,
good for Verlander getting the bag. Like, oh yeah, I can secure another almost $100 million contract at 40 to really go out in style. Like, good for him. But
it's like at that point, it's like, damn, it's like you be like, you could be at the point like people like, I'm ready to retire. Then you're like, damn, I got 43 million. No, I could play a few more years.
yeah, like he played well. I mean, he played well enough last year where like, yeah, you don't retire coming off that type of year. But you're 40, bro. So let's see what happens. The Mets also made another good little move. They got Jose Quintana, who I think on the Pirates. Then I think they moved him somewhere, and then yeah, now he's on the Mets. But yeah, he's like not an average. Like he's more than above average, but I wouldn't call him quite an ace. He definitely won't be, I guess, in front of Verlander in the rotation. But that's those two dudes to make up for losing DeGrom. I think they did a good job.
Yeah. And I think what MLB, I think over when they had the winter meetings, they said that so far in the free agency as a whole, they spent like owners have spent over $1 billion on players, which is crazy. So if you ever have a kid out there, people, see if they like baseball first, because the bag is there. Yeah. But yeah, let's jump.
Definitely.
Exactly. Let's jump to the next topic with Brittney Griner coming home. I was happy to see her. She came home, but I thought it was a crazy swap for some bull named the Merchant of Death. Somebody was like, "That's a crazy nickname." I mean, and it is. I'm like, whoever makes nicknames need to be the main person to make nicknames for everybody else going forward, because that's a crazy nickname, the Merchant of Death. Like, how the hell do you even think of that? But yeah, so that, like, but me, I obviously myself as well. I thought he had a life sentence. I mean, obviously you should have. You called it Merchant of Death, or
Mm-hmm.
but I think he did like 11 years. He only had 6 years left, supposed to come out in 2029. So like people's making a big deal out of it, like, oh, how we go this guy? But I mean, he's coming out in 6 years. So, well, what you think about that?
Oh, we won that trade. Like a lot of people don't feel that way, but we
What?
we won that trade because I think you might be right. He either had 12 years of a 17-year sentence, or it was like of a 25-year sentence.
Yeah, I think
But
it was yeah.
yeah, but Brittney Griner was fresh into a 9-year sentence. It obviously was probably one of the most BS like convictions that like in public history. Um, it would have been nice to get Paul Whelan back home, but at the end of the day, Russia was saying no to it. Like, and I get it. He has espionage charges. Like that's more personal than like a weed charge. So they wanted something crazy probably for Paul, or they just weren't negotiating for Paul. Would love to get him home. You know, all the other unrightfully detained folks would love to get them home as well. But at the end of the day, you got a prisoner back. Like if that was the only prisoner Russia was going to offer for the merchant of death, then you take what you can get. I do believe I'm not super patriotic by any stretch of the means, but I do believe America has good enough national security to where sending this guy back to Russia won't affect us as a country. So we should be cool there.
Ukraine, but Ukraine shitting in their boots right now.
That's a lot more gun movement. He probably still got all the connections because like, he was an arms dealer. I don't think he did any like murdering himself, but he was an arms dealer. So
Might as well. He gave him the gun.
and you never know, he might go back home and be a regular guy because I'm sure in 12 years of being, in U.S. prison, like somebody else took his place. So he's just a guy at the end of the day who had the connections at the time. Whereas Brittney Griner is like a really well productive member of society contributing to America.
So, I mean, I'm in this claim where he's happy to, bro. I looked at some joint and said he's wholeheartedly supports Russia war in Ukraine and would certainly volunteer.
Yeah, he's trouble. I mean, it's no denying that he's trouble. But at the end of the day, you just was sitting down for 12 years. Like whatever you were doing, somebody else is already now doing it. Like take your place. So like go home, be a regular guy. Like chill out.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm happy she's home, man. I can only seen the horror story she faced in Russia. I don't know if you saw the video, and I was she was scared to answer questions. I'm like, oh damn, that's trauma right there. But she was like, they was like, you know where you're going. She's like acting like she was scared to answer the questions. I was like, damn.
I didn't see that one, but I saw the one video where they were like she had to cut her dress because it was so cold in Russia, like her hair was freezing. So that's trauma. Like I am curious to see. Like I'm pretty confident Brittney wouldn't want to go back to Russia to play hoops, or like if he does,
You hope not.
I'm pretty sure.
You hope somebody's take a stand in the WNBA and start find a way to pay these girls more money.
Yeah, they definitely deserve it. Yo, I'm a fan of the WNBA. It's very entertaining. Yeah, sure, people ain't dunking on folks like the Mavs was dunking all over the Bucks the other night, but still, it's pretty entertaining. They got a little handle bag and they can shoot, and it's really easy to bet on. Like, there's lots of reasons to be a fan of the WNBA. So, pay them more. If you can't pay them more, women of the WNBA, go somewhere besides Russia because clearly, Russia not the place to be. Even if you can guarantee that you're not going to accidentally have hashish oil, it ain't really worth the risk. So,
facts. But yeah, man, let's get into our week 14 picks. I guess if I could let you start it off.
All right. Last week I wasn't in the pool, so I had to make the picks live. But I'm in the pool this week. It's 12:54, so nobody's gonna hear my picks and copy them in 6 minutes. So here we go. Shout out to my Rams for beating the Raiders because candidly, I probably would have picked the Raiders if I joined the pool in time last week or this week. But everybody picked the Raiders, so everybody lost. So I was like, oh, let me hop in since everybody's at 0 still. With that, I got the Steelers beating the Ravens. Listen, the Ravens are the better team as a whole, but no Lamar Jackson. Huntley is very much a Lamar Jackson light, but he's too light to beat the Steelers defense in my mind. Got the Bengals snapping their 5-game losing streak to the Browns, even though Deshaun Watson is obviously dangerous. So that we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But Joe Burrow and them been looking real good since starting off the season shaky. Cowboys over Houston. I don't even got to explain that. Tennessee over Jacksonville. Jacksonville, the future is getting a little brighter. It's just not this year. It hurt my heart to do this, but I picked the Vikings over the Lions. even though I was in an emergency situation in one of my fantasy leagues, and I definitely got Jared Goff to fill in and get me a lot of points, hopefully. Still think that Minnesota's 10-2 for a reason, and Detroit's 5-7 for a reason. So we'll see. Buffalo beating the Jets. Love Mike White. Just not going to be enough. Hurt my heart to pick this one as well, but Eagles over the Giants at home. The Giants really aren't that talented. Their coach is doing a wonderful job. So good job on the 7-4-1, but they will be 7-5-1 after the day. Kansas City over Denver. That's another one that I don't got to explain. This game is actually a hard one, but I picked the Seahawks over the Panthers. Love Geno Smith. Still not a big believer though. Hate Sam Darnold, but Carolina's tough for whatever reason. So we'll see. I picked Tom Brady. I picked the Bucs over the Niners, even though the Niners are a better team, or at least they've been playing better. But I just can't see Tom Brady losing to Brock Purdy. It just doesn't make sense to me. Tight game for the Sunday night game. But I picked Miami for the Chargers. For years, I've been calling the Falcons of the AFC. They just find ways to lose games. This shouldn't be any different. And then the Monday night game was hard too, because originally I picked New England but I switched to the Cardinals. The reason I switched is because they're not they got Mac Jones as their quarterback. Their number one receiver, Jacoby Myers, is out. Their number one running back, Damian Harris, is out. And they're also already 6-6 before that. So they're 6-6 for a reason, even though the Cardinals are 4-8. The Cardinals have D-Hop and Kyler Murray and James Conner. They should win, but we'll see.
Facts. All right, so I get to start with mine. I took the Raiders, obviously, on Thursday night. They can go to hell. Took Pittsburgh over Baltimore just basically off of Lamar not being there, as you said. Took the Bengals over the Browns. Deshaun Watson looked horrible that first game back against his home team. Glad they won, though, because I had him on money line. Cowboys over Texans. I took the spread as well. Well, I took 2 points. So it was 15.5. That's 17.5. But I feel like we put a whooping on them, our Texas rivals, as you could say. Tennessee over the Jags, Minnesota over Detroit. I still don't understand how Minnesota is an underdog, but I took that with the quickness as the on my parlay. Buffalo over the Jets, and took the Eagles over the Giants. And this is before the Saquon neck issues. Hopefully Saquon gets well soon because I got him on my fantasy team. So playoffs is coming, players. Stay healthy, brother. Get well soon. Chiefs over the Broncos. Seahawks over Carolina. I don't know what you saw tough about that. Geno Smith, Tyler Lockett, and DK Metcalf. Crazy work. Tampa Bay over San Fran, even though San Fran defense probably gave Tom Brady some troubles today. Like you said, Miami over the Chargers. You know, I'm a big Justin Herbert fan, but it's Miami team's been rolling this year. Arizona over New England. I didn't see anything hard about that. D-Hop, like you said, D-Hop, Murray, and Connor, and then Hollywood Brown's back. So that's a no-brainer for me. Let's say, who did I pick as my upset? I guess you can say my upset is the Minnesota game because they were +1. For whatever reason, I'll take them. Did you have any upset games?
Oh, I mean, we got the same exact picks. That's crazy. But the upset was Tampa Bay over San Fran. San Fran's defense is dominant. So Tom Brady and the offense in Tampa, even though they have good skill players, has been trash. So mathematically, this should be a really hard game for Tampa, but I still think they win because Brock Purdy. That's also my lock of the day as far as like the under in this game. I don't even know what the under is, but take the under. I can almost promise you it'll hit. So
great answer, because I took it as well. But yeah, man, appreciate you coming out.
Yes, sir. And then one other thing, Lincoln Riley, 3 of the last. I don't know if people noticed this for his recruiting efforts, but he's in the California school and he's got 3 of the last 6 Heismans. Everybody commit to USC, and if you don't go to USC, go to Michigan.
Oh wow! I don't know how you added Michigan after that. That's crazy. But 2 Big Ten teams in the college football players, which is always a good thing to see. But yeah, man, appreciate you coming out.
Yes, sir.